think it's about time to get started. Thanks everyone for being here, taking some time out of your week to join together to kind of talk about the Danskammer campaign and provide some information to everyone, and hopefully answer questions and kind of get as many of us on the same page as we continue to move forward in this fight. So first off, my name's Emily Skydell. I'm the Hudson Valley organizer for Food and Water Watch, and I am primarily working on this campaign to stop the Danskammer fracked gas power plant, much like you all are on this call right now. So I am, I guess I'm thinking I'm going to turn it over to Santosh in just a few minutes, but I guess to go over the agenda, Santosh is going to go over the sort of big picture where we're at statewide in the fight against fossil fuels as a movement, especially with a new governor. And then Allison over at Sierra Club is here to provide an update on the legal process of the application for this power plant. She's going to give us the scoop on where Danskammer is at, where along this legal process we're in, and then we're gonna get into some of the next steps. And believe it or not, some people may know this already, but we have 2 more hearings coming up that we can speak at, and these will be the last hearings for a while. So we're going to be talking about that, and then some other next steps that we'll close out with. But so that's really the scoop. Thank you everyone for being here. We are recording this so that folks can watch afterwards. Please, by all means, share the information with any friends, family members, neighbors that weren't able to be here. We definitely want, we need all of the amazing energy we've been putting into this fight. We need to keep that up and keep people engaged. So anything, it's going to take all of us to accomplish that. So with that, I am going to turn it over to Santosh to talk a little bit about the big picture. Santosh Nandabalan of Food and Water Watch.
Thanks, Emily. Hey, everybody. It's good to see so many familiar faces always on these Danskammer calls. Like always, fighting fossil fuel infrastructure is a gruel, but we win because of kind of this dedicated commitment and persistence from activists calling on our state to do better and really to reject all fossil fuel projects and ensure we have a just transition to a clean energy economy. And we're in a position in New York where that is totally winnable. We have seen some, thanks to a lot of activists on this call too, some past victories. We were able back in 2014 to ban fracking. We were able to stop the Port Ambrose LNG facility. In terms of fossil fuel infrastructure in the past 5 years, there was an enormous movement that has continually stopped the Williams pipeline here in Brooklyn. And so we see this overwhelming grassroots power and this participation from just everyday ordinary citizens. It is more effective than the enormous amount of money that the hedge funds are pouring with the fossil fuel industry to try and push these toxic, dirty projects onto us. However, we've taken some L's. So we've seen some really bad things, especially in the Hudson Valley region. We're talking about the AIM pipeline going through Westchester County. Danskammer is sandwiched between 2 other frack gas plants, CPV and Cricket Valley. And now there's a whole host of new applications for fossil fuel projects in New York State. So we're talking about Danskammer today in the midst of this, there's the Astoria frac gas plant, the Gowanus frac gas plant. Right now, there's a frac gas plant that's not even for electricity. It's the Greenidge frac gas plant is literally for Bitcoin. It's to mine cryptocurrency. So this onslaught of fossil fuels still exists in the state. I think a really fortunate thing for the climate movement is one of the biggest barriers to us really achieving this clean energy economy was our previous Governor Cuomo. And we are going to see with this new Hochul administration, a new running of things. Hopefully, I truly believe that it'll be very different how she treats the state agencies. I think just personally, Andrew Cuomo is a bully. But that being said, is this the pie in the sky that we need? You know, like the Bernie Sanders of all governors? I don't think so. You know, like I think it really still requires the persistence and the advocacy on our part to ensure that we stop all these fossil fuel infrastructure projects. So Food and Water Watch, a lot of allies we see the governor as a key figure in deciding all these projects, right? So for Danskammer in particular, the state agencies, the Public Service Commission, Department of Environmental Conservation, they work in tandem with the Hochul administration's recommendations. And we really see that it's very unlikely that they're going to go against their boss's orders. So Hochul is our primary target on ensuring that we can stop Danskammer. But if we can stop Danskammer, we can stop the Astoria gas plant coming up here. We send a market signal really to the industry that's like, hey, New York is we're not in business with fossil fuels anymore, and we're starting to get signs that that's happening. So we've been bird dogging Hochul, the governor, since she's been here. Not quite as aggressively as we bird dogged her predecessor because we're trying to test the waters, but the response has been pretty staunch. So she is someone that has touted like all the things, especially coming on with Hurricane Ida, that you want to hear on climate change. She's talked the talk. She hasn't walked the walk yet, and granted, she's been in for 4 weeks, but there are some signs that from the reactions she's had from our protests, from the reactions she's had from our lobbying, there is some signs that she will definitely stop these plants. And ultimately, this becomes a wider conversation. If you can stop frac gas plants, frac gas pipelines in New York State, you can stop it in New Jersey, you can stop it in the Northeast, and you can create this movement to really ban fracking and congruent fossil fuel projects. You can make that a winnable thing nationwide. So that is, it's really crucial. We're stopping a fossil fuel project here on the Hudson River, but it's also a bigger piece of this wider strategy to make sure that we cut off the Northeast from Pennsylvania, West Virginia, Ohio's frac wells, and that we ensure that we're frac free here in this country. So again, the dedicated persistence does work. We're going to continue to make sure Governor Hochul hears from us with continued actions, doing all the things we have been. So a lot of you have already given testimony in prior hearings. That was great. This is a way to ensure that they know we're here, we're loud, and we're not leaving. So make sure that, you know, after today, you retain what you can to go back and do it again. And hopefully we'll see you on the streets, either picketing or pushing someone to make sure we move off fossil fuels. But it's doable in New York. We finally have an administration that's movable. And with this upcoming primary next year, we're going to see that Governor Hochul, I think, really, I believe that she needs those votes, the climate votes, to prove herself as a progressive to New Yorkers. And if she wants to be our governor after 2022, she'll go with the movement.
Thank you, Santosh. Since we have like three, I think we're running a few minutes ahead. So I was just thinking, maybe if anyone has any like immediate thoughts or questions or something you want to put in the chat. I know this is like a big deal for us across the state, especially in the fractivist community. The fact that Governor Cuomo is no longer our big barrier is a huge thing. All right, so then let's move along. Next up, I'm going to turn it to Allison, who, like I'd mentioned earlier, is going to give us a little bit of a legal update. Although, to be clear, she's not a lawyer, but she is a legislative, person and policy person, and she knows some things. So,
thanks,
Allison.
Ashley. As she said, your local non-lawyer here, Allison Considine. I work as the New York campaign rep for the Sierra Club's Beyond Coal campaign. So we work on electric sector decarbonization statewide. And like Santosh was talking about, we are deeply invested in stopping the Danskammer plant and the Astoria plant and the Gowanus plant, because that's really going to set the precedent that there can be no new gas plants in New York State, period. And finally, let us all turn our fierce energy to shutting down the existing fossil fuel plants in our state. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. And let's see. How are we looking? Can folks see this? I'm seeing some nods. Excellent. So here we are on the equinox of a new season. And unfortunately, we don't have a ton of changes in the process. But before I dive into that, I'm just going to kind of do some level setting so we know like what terms we're talking about, what process we're working in. So the upcoming hearings that we're all here to register for tonight and prep for are part of the Article 10 process, which is run by the New York State Electric Generation Siting Board. The Article 10 law regulates the construction and operation of power generation facilities in New York over 25 megawatts, which the new Danskammer plant would be. So the Siting Board is the body that reviews those applications and decides whether or not to grant them a permit. The Siting Board is part of the Department of Public Service, which is a government entity that also includes the Public Service Commission, which regulates all of the generation and utilities in New York. And the Siting Board, that decision-making body I was talking about, is chaired by the chair of the Public Service Commission. So there's basically the Article 10 process is fairly long, and we are now in the formal application phase. So Danskammer has put in their application. And what's going on right now are the public statement hearings. So we did have some this spring. So many people showed up that we exceeded the amount of time that they budgeted for them, foolishly on their part. So they're giving us some more, which we will show up to with force. And these hearings are basically a chance for the general public to weigh in and tell the Siting Board, you know, yes, I think you should build this plant, or no, I think you should not. Right now, essentially the Siting Board process normally requires that a decision be made within 12 months of the application being deemed complete. However, Danskammer, the company, has requested a change to that time frame, because not only is Danskammer needing to get permitted by the Article 10 process, it also needs to be permitted through the Department of Environmental Conservation. And I'm sure a lot of folks on this call were probably at the hearings at the end of August that were part of that permitting process. So Danskammer has proposed a new schedule that would extend the timeline for the Article 10 decision to try to align it with the DEC schedule. We're now in a phase where DEC needs to respond and say if they agree to that. The Siting Board needs to decide if they agree to that. So that schedule is currently sort of up in the air. It's been suspended, and the new one hasn't been issued yet. But what Danskammer is asking for is an extension that allows it to align with the DEC process, which would probably put the final decision around August of 2022. So strategically, I think this is positive for us. The longer this takes, the more money Danskammer is having to spend without being able to, get any money from running this plant. And it gives us more time to organize more of our friends and neighbors to oppose this plant and to pressure Governor Hochul to deny the permit. I just wanted to kind of step back from that Article 10 process and frame up how this fits in with the other processes moving. So like I said, the DEC also would issue permits for a new power plant. And just recently, at the end of August, the DEC held hearings for folks to weigh in if they thought that the Danskammer plant could comply with the climate law and if it should receive its Title V air permit. 9,000 New Yorkers filed comments in opposition to the plant, and 175 people showed up to testify at the public hearings, with only 19 people in support of the plant. So over 90% were opposed. 9,000 comments is a huge number. And even though this is separate from the Public Service Commission process, it obviously influences it. And this show of power helps move the governor, move the siting board to see that this is not a proposal that they can just sneak under the rug. The other process I wanted to highlight that's going on right now is part of the Climate Leadership and Community Protection Act. So the CLCPA, which folks organized and fought to pass in 2019, requires the Climate Action Council, which is a body of 22 folks, many of whom report up to the governor, who are responsible for creating a scoping plan that basically lays out how is New York going to get from today to the goals of the CLCPA, including a 100% zero emissions electric sector. As part of that scoping plan process, there was a power generation advisory panel, and one of the recommendations they made was that there be a moratorium on any new fossil fuel power plants like Danskammer until the CAC scoping plan is finalized. Now, the CAC scoping plan doesn't get finalized until 2023, so that would further delay the project if the CAC includes that in their scoping plan recommendation, and I think would be another death blow to Danskammer. So that's my legal from a non-lawyer update, and I'm happy to answer any questions if they come up, and I am going to stop sharing my screen.
All right, there we go. Cool. Thank you so much, Allison. Yeah, and we understand that this stuff is complicated. Also, I think the fact that Allison's not a lawyer, I'm not a lawyer, but this stuff, we can all learn about the process and start to become familiar with it, but also like it's our job too. So don't feel like you need to know all of that in order to be part of the part of making change on this, because clearly we've all been doing that. We've all been making real change. We've been pushing. The application keeps getting delayed. So with that, I am going to transition us to something that we mentioned a little bit, and that is that there are hearings at the end of the month. So maybe before I get into the hearings, who here registered to speak at a hearing in March and didn't get the chance to speak? Maybe you want to put in the chat if that was you. Because it was a lot of people. Shay, yeah. Oh, Tara, there, yeah. Jess, yeah. All right. Guy, yeah. A lot of people. Pony, yes. Steve, a lot of people. Well, so because so many people were not able to speak that showed up, a coalition letter was drafted that a number of organizations signed on to. Individuals complained, and they decided to create more hearings. So Allison mentioned that there were hearings back in August of last month on, or that there was the DEC, yeah, and she mentioned the hearings, but the DEC air permit that Danskammer also needs. So that was sort of a separate, that's a separate regulatory process with a separate schedule of hearings. Now, the hearings that are coming up September 28th and 29th, these are in response to the fact that there were so many people that did not get to speak in March. So if you were one of those people that didn't get to speak in March, good news is you can finally speak at an Article 10 hearing. And maybe who here on this call signed up in March and did get the chance to speak? I was one of those people. I got the chance to speak. Cool. There we go. We've got some people that got to speak. Yeah, a lot of people did get to speak too. Reason I point that out too, not just to not to rub it in everyone's face to the people that didn't get to speak, but more to say that you also can and should sign up to speak again. We need everyone to speak if they can, to stay involved, to stay engaged in this, because this is a marathon, not a sprint. And you know, what we can do and what we can continue to do is recruit more people to turn out and speak and get new voices in. But we also welcome, you know, the persistence of activists that can stay in this fight and have the energy and time and stamina, because it makes a really big difference. It makes a really big difference. Like the percentage of people that spoke out at the March hearings, 95% of the people that spoke at the March hearings spoke out against Danskammer. And we only had 5% of people at those hearings speaking out in favor of Danskammer. These DEC hearings in August, those were also, I don't know what the percentages were, but it was like 100 and Allison, you had the numbers. What are the numbers from the DEC hearings?
Yeah, there was 9,000 comments submitted and 175 speakers. Someone can do quick maths, 175 minus 19. Anyways, most of the speakers were against.
Yeah, that's really awesome. Thank you. So that is, you know, there's no way that anyone could report or document those hearings as anything other than a unanimous, overwhelming opposition to the power plant from the public, and that's what we want to continue. So with that, I'm gonna turn it over to Alex Wojcik. I believe Deputy Mayor Alexandria Wojcik, because she's really great and she's been with us for a really long time on this, and she gave really great testimony the other day. So we'd love for you to share your testimony from the DC hearings and talk to us about the fight a little bit.
Great. Thanks, everyone. All right, just making sure I'm not muted. Okay. Yeah, awesome. So yeah, I'm Alex, Deputy Mayor, the Village of New Paltz. And in this role, I serve as our Village Board liaison to our Environmental Policy Board, as well as our joint Village and Town Climate Smart Task Force. So I get all these chances to, or I use this title basically to speak on behalf of our community every chance I get. You know, about this important environmental issue. And so I recently got a chance to testify to Stop Danskammer on behalf of the community, and wanted to, you know, just share some words of encouragement or inspiration, or whatever. I'm also not a lawyer. I saw some love for non-lawyers in the chat. My background is in literature, but anyone can really rock it as long as you keep your comments concise and from the heart. So in my comment, I made it clear that I was speaking out against the project. I was doing so both as a Hudson Valley resident and as a voice representing the Village of New Paltz and the town of New Paltz, and then gave a few quick reasons why both New Paltz and I are wholeheartedly opposed. So here's a really quick recap. In early 2019, the Village and Town of New Paltz boards both passed a joint resolution calling upon the Public Service Commission to reject the Danskammer application. And since then, we have passed multiple other resolutions reiterating our community's opposition to Danskammer. Side note, I just sent another letter making that very abundantly clear the other day. For New York State to permit Danskammer would be synonymous with a continued investment in dirty fossil fuel infrastructure, and would be synonymous with an investment in fracking, which our state has already banned, a ban that is now codified in law. our region's ability to join that green energy future that works for working families, that life worth living that we were promised a long time ago by REV. And since then, more recently, by the Climate Leadership and Community Protection Act, just to name a few examples, depends upon stopping Danskammer and halting all fossil fuel activity and infrastructure immediately. Danskammer is in clear violation of the CLCPA as set forth by state law. The DEC pointed this out in filings over a year ago. So what's the problem here? The technology to move beyond fossil fuels once and for all exists, and jobs come with that technology, so let's do it. It's no secret that the devastating effects of the global climate change crisis disproportionately affect the most marginal members of our communities. So even proposing the Danskammer build out is racist and classist. To support this project is to perpetuate white supremacy. This is one reason why my community proudly opposes the Danskammer fracked gas plant. So as you can see, I gave a few examples, spoke from the heart, and also told them like it was. So anyone can do this. And I hope I see as many of you as possible at the next couple of hearings, because I know I'll be there.
Thank you, Alex. And thank you everyone who's given really great testimony so far at these hearings. It's been really, really empowering and kind of, really fun to get to hear everyone speak and everyone's voices in one place. So thank you, Alex. All right, well, so I think we should get into the next piece, which is we wanted to give a lot of time toward getting set up for these hearings. And I know many of us have sat on long hearings and not gotten the chance to speak. Many of us have spoken multiple times already and think, what more do I have to say? But let me tell you, this is going to be the last time that for a while that we're going to get to speak out in a public way on the record, so that it will be counted in the legal process. So we need to do what we can to push on this one. And I think that this is a really good time in the year for these hearings. The last hearings they held, the DEC held, a lot of people, it was August, I don't know, it was the end of August, and a lot of people were driving their kids to college or going on their I don't know, doing whatever people do at the end of the summer. Not a great time for hearings. So I know there's a ton of people, maybe some people here who wanted to speak in August and couldn't. So let's start with registering for the hearings. September 28th, the hearing is at 1 p.m., is at 5 p.m. The hearing on the 29th, September 29th, is at 1 p.m. So 5 p.m. on the 28th, 1 p.m. on the 29th. And I am going to register right here with you all so that you can see what that process is like. So maybe Allison, do you want to share your screen to help me out? Cool.
Yep. So I am going to just start by opening up a new window and take it away.
Cool. So yeah, first you want to go to stoptheplant.org. It looks like you already had that open, so that's perfect. And then you want to click here to register for the September 28th and 29th public hearings. And you're going to click there. There's going to be a really great guide, registration guide with talking points, much like we've been putting together for the last couple of rounds of hearings. Special thanks to Jess Mullen for putting all this together. And if you scroll down, you are going to see that there's information for both the September 28th hearing and the 29th hearing. I'm going to register for the Tuesday one at 5 p.m. So Allison is going to click that link and it's going to take her to the WebEx registration page. Now, to the left, Oh no, I see. Yeah, your information got to, okay. You're gonna hit register in blue. To the left, next to event status. Oh, and there's,
It's okay. It's my old address. So.
oh, okay. There you go. All right, so you're gonna put my information in. And then maybe I'm moving out of my house in like a week, so I guess it doesn't really matter that much. Yeah, you can put my address in. My email address is eSkyDell@fwwatch.org. Address is 12 Phillips Beacon 12508. So then I would like to make a comment, yes, a statement, and then she's gonna hit submit. And then, oh, it wants to confirm my address. Okay.
I'm just gonna put organizer, okay?
Great. Submit. All right. And then we are done. So then I just got a little ping that I got an email, and it will have a link to the WebEx. And the last two DEC hearings that we had, that the state had, there was extra time at the end. Surprise, you know, if you can believe that. I know at the first ones there was like no time, but there was a little time at the end, which meant that they just allowed people to at the end like raise their hand in the WebEx and speak, even if they weren't registered. So I would say register. We're all going to do it right now together, but also it's very likely that the deadlines to register are a little bit soft. So, but let's make sure that at least everyone in this space gets registered right now. So, why don't we, well, real quick, I guess, is there anyone here who who here is planning to speak at the last set of hearings for a while? Put in the chat. And I just want to say, we need numbers. We need everyone to speak, even if all you say is, hi, my name is Emily. I live in Beacon and I don't want dirty air and water. Stop Danskammer. You know, you could say something like that. If you've already spoken, maybe you want to talk about it in a new way, a fun, you know, maybe you have a different anecdote you want to give about climate or whatever it is. We really, really, really just need, there's power in numbers. Okay, love all the enthusiasm in the chat. This is awesome. Cool. Okay, and so Jess, do you want to put up the little slide we've got, and let's all take a few minutes right now and just register. Super easy.
And if you've already registered, something you could do at the time is try to think of 3 people that you can send this info to get them to register. I'm going to send it to my friends who are farmers in the Hudson Valley who haven't spoken yet. And I'm going to get my partner to register. So those are my 3. And maybe folks can write in the chat if there's anyone in particular they're going to ask.
Yeah, and maybe there's people you've already, you know, maybe you've already talked to them about this once, or it came up in conversation. This is a perfect next step ask. Or someone that's been super engaged but just happens to not be able to make it. Cool. So we've got the instructions here on the register, and just put in the chat once you're registered. Yeah.
Come a little bit closer, hear what I have to say. children sleeping, we can dream this night away. But there's a full moon rising, let's go dancing in the night. Music's playing, let's go out and feel the clouds. Cause I'm still in love with you, I wanna see you dance again. Cause I'm still in love with you. On this harvest moon, when we were strangers, I watched you from afar.
Awesome. All right, we got a bunch of people registered. That's great. Please continue to put in the chat if you've registered. Let me see. Okay, cool. I'm just looking at my notes for a second to see what's on the agenda next. I think next we wanted, so folks have registered. Next step, think about 3 people you know that you're gonna ask to speak at the hearing. And even put it in the chat if you can. Cool, I see Joyce registered, Steve, Guy, Jen, Robert, awesome, Pony. Does anyone else want to share who they're going to ask to speak at the hearing? You could even shout it out, unmute yourself. Oh, cool. Madeline says Margaret. Awesome. Alex says she's going to invite all the folks on our environmental policy board. That's great. That's great, great, great. And her roommates. Amazing. Robert says there was a spectra coordinators. This is awesome. This is what I'm talking about. We need to just, keep telling all the people in our community, keep getting people more and more engaged and involved on this. And think about, I want to just put a special shout out to everyone here who's been doing that work. A lot of you on this Zoom now have already been doing a lot of that work, and it pays off. Especially organizing some of these larger rallies and getting press attention. That's just another point of contact, and it's people are continuing to take action for the first time or just learn about this issue, and every day we're out tabling or whatever and meeting people that live in Newburgh and have never even heard about this issue. So keep doing what you're doing. Cool. So I think we were gonna I think we're gonna close it off soon. The one thing we wanted to mention, Jess, do you have the slide up of the other next actions?
Sure, I'll put it up right now.
Okay. And does anyone have any thoughts or questions or things you want to share? We have some stuff coming up the pike. That I was just checking to see if anyone had their hand up or anything. Yeah, so basically, again, go to stoptheplant.org for registration links and talking points for the upcoming hearing. And please feel free to share that link with friends and people that you know, because it's I find it to be a really easy way to share. It's a really easy link for people to remember, stoptheplant.org. Second, we are going to be having an action in Albany targeting Kathy Hochul and the DEC later in October, ahead of a soft comment deadline that the state had set for public comments around Danskammer. We don't have a date yet. Will likely be around October 23rd, we're thinking. But stay tuned. Danskammer Halloween costume rally. It's going to be really lit. Really awesome. And last, if you have any questions, you can contact Jess Mullen at scenichudson.org or me, East Skydell, Emily, East Skydell at fwwatch.org. You see there's some new messages. There was a question, has there been any changes in Danskammer's proposal, or it's the same old story? Yeah, it's the same old story. Yes, Danskammer. We're excited about the pun, and I think that's really it for now. Thank you everyone for being here, and oh man, and I did not create the doodle poll that I was supposed to create. We will send it in a follow-up email. We would like to start holding new monthly evening coalition meetings. We've been having coalition meetings every Monday at 11. It's not a great time for a lot of working people. So we wanted to hold a monthly evening coalition meeting, particularly for folks that are either want to, be involved in strategy, but also folks that represent an organization that's a member of the Stop Danskammer Coalition. We'd love for you to join a monthly organizing meeting. So I will send the doodle with a follow-up email, so we can find a good night of the week for folks.